Hello, everybody. There's nobody here yet. I'll just give you guys some time to show up and we'll see what happens. We'll go from there. See if we can get these bright lights, garish lights off. There's one still right there. It's not too bad. So, just want to hang out with you guys. I'm trying to plug in this charger. There we go. All charged. We've got one person here. Hi, Tony. Oh, we got 11 people here, according to the latest count. Just there's some black. I got some black smudge on the screen. I'm just rubbing it off. Hi, Olivia. Hi, Mimi. The Mimi. 17 now. So I just thought I'd hang out with you guys. I don't think I'm gonna do a selling show tonight. There's Glenda and Trish, and Happy New Year. Yeah, I think I'm just Christina is not feeling well. She's at home, and let me oh, there she is. She answered before I could answer. So I thought I'd just hang out, so you guys are not like, hey, he abandoned us. Um, we'll just come and hang out. And oh, Barbara, first time here. You get to hang out in a weird session where we're just going to talk about random stuff. I'm not going to show any crystals or make any jewelry or anything. I could show you the latest. I came in with my dad today and I worked on some over the holidays when I was visiting relatives. I just took a bunch of paint with me and some big tablets of heavy watercolor paper, and I was just every time everybody went to sleep and I was bored, I was just scrapping up some paper so I can show you some of the stuff. I just did a lot of somebody called these alien flowers. So basically, I didn't have to think too hard with my brain. These just come easily to me because my brain just thinks in these patterns. So I just made a whole bunch of them. I just threw some paint on paper, like just to get some paint going, and just to get some backgrounds. And then I started doing some weird flower shapes, and then I started doodling some weird flower shapes, and then I started throwing some paint over some paint over the doodles, and then I started doing more doodles, just random, and then I tried some these are oil pastels. They're kind of like crayons for adults. They're really just crayons. I mean, you can smudge them more like you can paint, whereas crayon just stays where it is. But other than that, they go on kind of like. So anyway, I started cutting out some of the ones I did and gluing them onto some of the backgrounds I did to get kind of this effect. And then I took a canvas and painted it. I just painted black and brown. I just took black and brown and went like this, and I took a palette knife and I just went like that. And if Christina was here, she could have caught it on video, but she's not feeling well. But then I just cut out and glued down another one of the flower things that I had painted and cut out. And so I'm just messing around with that particular pattern. But yeah, so that's pretty much been it. And oh, we only have 15 people here. People wanted to come see some stones, I guess, or see some jewelry. They're not really that interested in just saying hi and hanging out. It's funny though, everybody says you should just hang out. But then when I do hang out, there's less people. People really want to see those crazy stones. But anyway, so yeah, Christina was feeling horrible yesterday. Hopefully she's feeling slightly better today. I don't know if she's gonna get worse or get better first. But how's everybody else doing? What's your new year look like so far? What are you up to? What's happening? Are you planning anything wild and crazy? What is everybody doing? Nobody's talking. Nobody's saying anything. Say some things. Talk about some things. Um, I had some ideas to talk about stuff, but I didn't want to jump into that right away. I thought we'd wait till there's more people. Maybe I'm not seeing all the chat. Let me switch to live chat. And nope, nobody's talking still. Um, well, let's see. Yeah, what's your favorite color? um, I had, let me see if I have them all down here. I came across some funny questions. Um, what's a DIY? You mean tutorials on how to make jewelry? Probably. Probably more in the new year. Does it look a little foggy? Is the lens foggy? I feel like it's a little. Where's the lens at? I feel like it's a little bit foggy. What do you guys think? Does it look like there's like this haze? Um, yeah, I know do DIY is do it yourself, but that's like not a that doesn't answer my question. Um, ba, 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 ba. Still foggy. Yeah, this particular new case, I need to cut out the screen protector because it's like icky, and I don't know if that helped. If it got some smudge on it or something, but I can't do that now because it'll I would have to stop this whole thing for 5 minutes, so we'll have to just hang out like this for now. So so Trish, you mean tutorial videos, like how-to videos, is what you meant. That's what I was saying. I'm probably going to be doing some more of those in the new year, which is which is this entire channel, unless I'm doing a live show where that's the only other different thing. Um, the live shows kind of took over this last year. They became like the dominant feature. But yeah, we'll do more of the other type, hopefully. Um, nobody else is talking though. There's 24 people here now. 24 people and nobody's saying anything. I don't think we have any of our controversial people here. Oh, YouTube. Now it's showing your comment, tie-dyeing. Oh, there, James is here. Lady Katie. Ba 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 ba. Oof. So my controversial bone was itching. My desire to be controversial and argue with people. So I started a big fight on Instagram because right now I'm banned on Facebook for 30 days, and that's not even from starting an argument. I'm banned on Facebook because I made a silly joke, and of course their algorithm misinterpreted it like they're doing for everybody now, and everybody's getting banned for everything under the sun. That doesn't make any sense. But until a better platform comes along, we're stuck with Facebook, unfortunately, which is turning more and more like fascist every day, but I don't want to talk about that. Um, so far, my New Year is pretty restful. I haven't pushed myself to do a lot of work yet. I've been kind of lazy, and I hate feeling lazy, but it kind of feels good. My body kind of feels relaxed, and that's not something I usually do. Actually, that's not true. Every year, I don't know if my whole entire psyche has gotten used to this, but up until the video was the main part of this career, every year the holidays would be the most stressful time. Like all of December, I would just be working incredibly hard because that's where I'd make a third of my money. And then January, I would just rest. I would just take a lot of time off in January to try to recuperate so I didn't get sick. And so this December has not been very stressful, but still, I'm finding myself taking a lot of time to rest. Um, oh, that sounds wonderful. I love the idea of deep cleaning and detailing. Oh, that sounds great. Come. I hate to be that person, but I'm going to be that person. Come hang out. Come to my house, and I'll pay you to do cleaning and stuff. Um, Restricted for 90 days on Facebook? I've never heard of 90 days. Or is that something else? Yeah, this is the second time I've been banned on Facebook in like 4 months, 3 months, something like that. Um, yeah, it forces you to do real life things, which is actually healthy for you. It's like, thank you, Facebook, for forcing me to get off of your very unhealthy platform and do healthy things with my life. Um, Unfortunately, they still let you see all of the Facebook stuff. So you want to jump in there and comment, but you can't. If you think you're lagging, grab your red dot and push it. Give it an extra push further to the right, even though it looks like it's all the way to the right. New people, whenever you're on a live show, you will be lagging at some point. You have to keep grabbing your red dot and pushing it because your internet will buffer and slow down at different times and you'll be off track from the main person. It's just a weird design flaw. You posted proof that someone else photoshopped something and they banned you for 90 days. Doesn't that sound great? It sounds like you're living in a dictatorship. It's like, oh my gosh. Oh, but I saw this one question on yeah, it's timeout. I saw this one question on Instagram, and every single person, every single person on this post was answering one way. And it's funny because I already was had a teaching by this very, very wise man I used to listen to on the radio, and he used to teach about this very exact thing years ago, and he would teach why a lot of people get this question wrong and why it's very important not to get this question wrong, and it's disturbing how many people get this question wrong. And I was looking at this question on Instagram, and it was every single person in the comments was getting it horribly wrong. And actually, they were very proud of themselves for getting it horribly wrong. And I thought, so I put in the right answer, hoping some people would argue with me, and nobody picked it up yet or argued with me that I can see. So I've been very, very disappointed that I can't start arguments. So I thought, why don't I take it to my own channel and make all the people who really like me turn on me and be mad at me, because that will be fun. So I thought maybe I can repetitive comments. Yes, James. What's up with that? Can you imagine? Can you imagine being in a conversation and suddenly someone bursts in your door and says, "I'm sorry, you've been talking to this person for more than an hour. That is excessive conversation. You need to stop." And they take that person away from your home and escort them back home. Like, that's how you feel. You're in the middle of a conversation and Facebook is like, "Nope, you're talking too much." It's like, how Nazi do you want to be? You want to control everything. You don't want people to talk too much. You don't want people to use buzzwords. You don't want people to make jokes. Hi, Happy Hands, Jolanda. You definitely don't want people to have opinions. That would be the worst. So I thought, why don't I come here? Let me see if how many of you I can get to be mad at me and turn against me because I can't do it on Facebook, and that's no fun. Um, so I'm still debating whether or not I should give you these questions. Can I give you guys some hard questions? Can you handle it? These are some tough, tough questions. Um, you're really, really going to hate them, and you're actually going to love them until you realize that that you're going to be against me, and then you're going to be very upset. Um, and believe it or not, this is why politics is bad news if you want to have an art channel. Religion is you got to be careful with that. But I found a topic that's not really politics or religion, but still it's going to make all of you angry. So this makes me super happy. Yep, Zelina. I'm glad it's not just me. Like sometimes I feel like it's just me, but yeah, I don't think there is really AI. I think it's always been garbage in, garbage out. That's what they used to say about computers like in the 80s. Um yep, pink harp. Yep, I got banned for posting someone wearing a bikini. And the only reason I posted a photo of someone wearing a bikini was because they made the bikini out of face masks. And so it was like, you know, it was poking fun at the face mask situation because she had the face masks everywhere except her face. So it was just a really dumb thing. And literally that was promoting, they said that was promoting lewd, whatever. Mocking the mockery. Yeah. Oh, Charlotte, you mean, should I get to the point of what the questions are? Diane already dropped Facebook. Yeah, I also got banned for a cartoon where I was making fun of that famous dictator from the 1940s with the little baby mustache. Remember him? Little square mustache. It was a cartoon making fun of him. And that it was posted 2 years ago. Their algorithm dug up that cartoon, said it was inappropriate, that it was promoting that particular man, who I'm not even going to mention, and I got a ban for that. Right, exactly, James. Charlotte's like, get to the point, Charlotte citizen. All right, so I want to go through this though. I want to go through all the different reasons I was banned. I was banned once for saying a bad word that starts with F, but in relation to people from Russia, which I happen to be descended from partly. So I thought, and it was in a joke, so I thought that was fine. But nope. I got a ban for saying that race relations had gotten better. Literally, race relations had gotten better, but it was a complex paragraph where I was saying, using color words like black and white and talking about people in different situations. But the entire gist of the paragraph was, hey guys, let's not beat ourselves up. We've come a long way. And they were like, nope, now you're promoting what's a word? You're promoting bigotry and all kinds of craziness. So I got a ban for that. Charlotte, no, I was going to talk about some other stuff, but I'm not talking about art today. We're just hanging out. So if you came looking for art, then it'll probably be on another time. I'm not going to be showing any stones or jewelry or anything like that. But I did have some morality questions that I wanted to ask people to see how they respond. So we can have our own little argument right here. I can't believe people are getting 90 days. It's so insane. All right, so here's the first question. Now, before you answer, everybody, just understand the answer you think is wrong. Whatever you think is the easy answer is the wrong answer. So if you want to cheat and you want to get the right answer, say the opposite of what you think you would say. All right, thanks. Thank you, Charlotte. Okay. So this is the first question. And you're going to say, how could there be a right answer or a wrong answer? It's just an opinion. No, there is a right answer and a wrong answer. All right, first question. If you could save 100 dogs, save their lives, but by saving those 100 dogs, one human would die. Let's say you don't know the human. It's not an enemy, and it's not a friend. It's not a family member. It's someone you don't know. And you don't know the dogs either. You could save 100 dogs from dying or one person, but you can't save them both. Either 100 dogs have to die or the one person has to die. Which would you choose? Ba-ba! You may lock in your answers now. We're all going to be Asian. That sounds fun to me. Insert stereotypical thing here now that'll get everybody arguing about Asia and Asians. So James says he would save the person. Kathy would save the dogs. Marty would save the person. Rick would save the person. Valerie would save the person. Species Unknown would save the person. Oh, wow. I'm really impressed by you guys. I am actually, I was thinking this was going to make everybody mad at me, but I am heartwarmingly impressed. Oh my gosh, this makes me so happy. You guys I want to give you all a hug. You guys are wonderful, wonderful people. All right, let me put it this way. I love animals, and probably most of you do. Most good people love animals. Here's a funny thing. That's an interesting statistic. There's about 100 dogs born to every person. Okay, well, Pamela says if it's a horse, it's different. I absolutely adore animals to the point where spiders is the limit. I don't like hurting spiders. If there's a spider, I will try to save it and put it outside. Once you go below spiders, I'm not really that compassionate. And when I say below spiders, I mean spiders are arachnids. Insects to me are like a lower classification. Once you get to insects, I don't have much compassion. Okay, but what's it called? Now I won't go out of my way. I actually like ants and bees because they're very communal. But whatever. I'm getting off topic now. I just lost my favorite cat of my entire life. Absolutely, like a person, like a family member. And I've never had dogs, but I've always loved dogs. And I adore animals. Here's something to learn about humans. If you love animals, no, let me put this another way. If you are cruel to animals, that's a good indication that you are going to be cruel to humans, because it shows if you're cruel to something that's innocent and can't protect itself and can't offer you anything in return, it's a good indication that you're probably going to be a very, very psychopathic person. But the reverse is not true. If you love animals, that doesn't mean you're a good person. That famous square mustache guy loved dogs. Okay? So loving animals doesn't get you high on the morality scale. Now, hating animals means you're really bad, but loving animals doesn't get you that high. Okay? So here's the correct answer to that first one is it is more important to save one human than to save all the dogs that have ever existed. Does that mean dogs are disposable and not worth much? No, not at all. Dogs are wonderful and valuable, and they can be like family members, and they can be loving and sweet, and they can teach us how to be kind and caring and responsible for something else. You know, start with a dog and then learn, maybe you can handle a human, who knows. Dogs are absolutely fantastic. But humans are phenomenally, uncategorically, immeasurably more important. And that's just life. And yet, hey, Vincent's Rock Garage missed the question. The first moral question. Totally missed it. You're gonna have to go back and watch. But in any case, yeah, humans are so much more important. And that's just what it is. That is the correct answer. You can't tell me it's an opinion. That is the correct answer. Okay. Good. But most of you, I was very impressed. You did really good. Because in the Instagram post, almost everybody, every single person said they go for the dogs, and without fail. In fact, they're very proud of themselves. Okay. Question number 2. This is going to stir up. This is going to make, if the first one didn't get you upset with me, this one's going to get you upset with me. Question number 2. In a healthy, happy family, who should be the most important to a husband or wife? Who should come first in priorities? The spouse or the kids? Now you can say, oh, they're neck and neck. And you can say there's plenty of love for both. And you can say, absolutely, they should almost be both come first, but you have to pick one or the other. At the end of the day, who gets first priority? If you want the healthiest, happiest family, oh, interesting. Butterfly says you put yourself first before spouse or kids. Well, that's another question. And I don't disagree with that. It's hard. It's impossible to love others until you love yourself. And as you love yourself more, you learn to love others. But that's another question. Species says spouse. Marty says child. Cheryl says child. Kathy says spouse. Children, kids. Okay, we're about 50-50. We're leaning a little bit more towards kids. Pamela says spouse. Oh, this is really, really, really 50-50. Now, again, I'm not talking about an unhealthy relationship. I'm not talking about I'm not talking about where there's discord or fighting or anger. I'm talking about in a very healthy relationship, the husband and wife are, 100% for each other and also for raising the healthiest kids they can. When you're considering something, who do you consider first, the spouse or the kids? So it's about 50-50. This is going to be interesting. Very interesting. Very, 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 very interesting. The answer is, now this is coming from me, not married, don't have kids. Helped a lot of other people raise their kids. Worked in childcare for over 20 years. Actually helped parents who are having trouble being parents learn to be better parents. This is all on my resume. But never had my own kids and never been married. So you can take this from me and say he doesn't know what the heck he's talking about. But I'm talking from stuff I've read in psychology and in and also stuff I've noticed in healthy families that agrees with the stuff I've read in psychology. The answer is spouse. Spouse comes first. It upsets a lot of people, but the children are more innocent and they have more needs and blah, 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 blah. No. Nope. There is one person till the end of time that you are bound to take care of 100%. If you put the spouse first, psychologists find the children feel safer and healthier and happier. If you put the spouse first, you have two people who can more healthily, that's not a word, but healthily raise kids. And kids who are raised by two parents do so much better. If you don't put the spouse first, if you put the kid first, then sometimes there could be conflict between the spouses with the kid involved, and that drags the kid into, there's a whole bunch of reasons, but I'm just hitting on a few of them. It's counterintuitive because you think the kids have more needs, they're younger, they can't take care of themselves. Of course, you put them first. No. You love yourself, as someone else mentioned, and then you love that one other person that you're pledged to spend the rest of your life having their back before anyone else. And when the kids see that mommy and daddy love each other, the kids generally feel safer, and it's easier for the parents to work together to give the kids everything they need. But I'm sure I still probably upset a few of you with that one. I thought the dogs one would really upset you. I was sure everybody would get mad when I did the dogs one. So now, if the spouse turns out to be bad, then everything changes. So again, this is very strict. This is a very strict situation. If at any point the marriage is going to break up, or one of the spouses turns out to be not the person you thought they were, and they're in a bad place, then this, what I'm saying, goes out the window. Obviously, you have to put the kids first at that point. Okay. Question number 3. Have I lost anybody yet? Hopefully nobody's that mad at me. I'm treading on very delicate ice. Well, that's also a bad thing. If you put everybody before yourself, then you put yourself in a position of being very weak and letting people walk all over you, and it's the doormat syndrome, and that doesn't help them or you. It ends up actually hurting everybody in the long run. So, but I'm sure you guys all understand that you've probably seen it happen. And okay, here's question number 3. Is there a level of riches where the money alone makes the person a worse person? Meaning, is there a limit? Like, we all believe it's better to have as few poor people as possible. You want most people to not be poor. We want to help everybody get out of poverty. And then once we get out of poverty, we get to, what you might call the middle class. And then once we get past the middle class, we get to the upper middle class, and then we get to uber success, and then we get to rich, and then we get to super wealthy, and then we get to crazy wealthy. And should there be a limit? Is there a point where the money itself, not the person, but the money itself actually starts to make the person a bad person? Just the money, not their decisions, not what they do with the money, not who they are deep on the inside. But is there a point where money can take a good person and make them a bad person? Or and it comes down to this, is it morally acceptable to have people free to be as wealthy as they can? Is that a morally acceptable thing? Or should there be a limit? Should we say at this number, anything past this number, the money is going to make people bad? I asked the question funny, so I'm getting yeses and nos, because I kind of asked a few different questions. So I'm not quite sure what the yes and no means. So I'm going to phrase it one more time. Should there be a limit on how much money people should be able to get before it starts to corrupt them? That's how I'm going to phrase it. Should there be a limit? Yes or no? So if you already answered yes and no, answer for me one more time because I want to see your answer now that I made it very clear. Yes or no, should there be a limit to how much people should be able to have or make? Okay. So we have mostly no, no, no. All right, Tie Dye Dawn says yes. Happy Hand says yes, I think. All right, most people say no, there shouldn't be a limit. Okay. Sharon says money is the root of all evil. All right, Beaded says that a truly good person will still be good after they got rich. Heather says there should be no limit, but once they get to a certain level, they should be trying to help their community. And that's, I think, very fair, but I still haven't given the answer. Diana says money is not the problem, people are. Her answer is no, no limits. Tie-Dye Dawn says money corrupts. Christina says it's all about how the person lets the money dictate their answer. Marty says it's the love of money, not just money alone. Okay. I gotta raise this up a little bit because I'm found myself slouching because this camera is slouching. And I'm slouching with it. There we go now. Oh, always stand up tall, head back, shoulders back, chest forward. If you're a man, it'll make you look more muscular. If you're a woman, it'll make you look more ooh la la. It'll make you look taller, whoever you are. Frog says money gives bad people the more power to corrupt everything. Yes, Sharon, we gave Mimi your address. Valerie says she is super generous. Janelle says money doesn't bring happiness. Okay, here is the answer. As I am the determiner of what answers are true and not. No, there should never, ever, 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 ever be a limit on what people can achieve in anything, ever, ever. Just like we shouldn't say, oh, Michael Jordan scored way too many points. We need to shave some of his points off and give them to other people. Or even Michael Jordan is the richest sports player in the history of humanity. He shouldn't be allowed to have that much. There should be never be a limit. Money does not make a person better or worse. Money only exposes who they were to start with. A bad person who is poor is going to do bad things. A bad person middle class is going to do bad things. A bad person who is rich is going to do bad things. If you look at the richest people who've ever lived, and this is Wikipedia, this isn't, I'm not reading someone's opinion. This is, I mean, straight up just history. John Rockefeller, Andrew Carnegie, even Bill Gates, people today, even Elon Musk, the richest people who have ever lived have usually given away the majority of their wealth. At a certain point in their life, they just gave it away because you get to the point where you've done everything, you've succeeded at everything, and what's there left to do? And as Will Smith said recently, and I'm not one to quote him much, but every once in a while he says, he hits it on the head. He said, you get to a point where you've done everything in life and you realize the only thing that really fulfills you is helping other people. And that's it. And I think even rich people who might not be the best people, but they're just people, I think they all hit that. I think they realize that. Now here's psychologist, does money buy happiness? Psychologists found out up until a certain level, people get happier as they make more money, but that level is very low. Once you cross the level of being able to afford everything you need to live comfortably, which in the US today is about 60,000 a year. Once you cross that level, everything you make after that doesn't make you happier. Now, when you get a promotion, you're temporarily happier because it's a success feeling. When you succeed at something big, you're temporarily thrilled. But what they find is that thrill goes all the way back down to base level. So, so money does not, buy happiness. And as Gary Vee will say, some of the wealthiest people he knows are miserable. And some of the people making very, very low middle class wages are some of the happiest people he knows. Valerie brings up a very, very, very important point. More money brings more responsibility. And people without money might say, oh, give me that responsibility. I'm ready to handle it. You think you are. You have no idea. You have absolutely no idea. So anyway, right. James also hit it. And that's life. It's literally what you do with everything that makes you happy. It's not what's given to you that makes you happy. It's what you give. It's what you do that makes you happy. The giver is more blessed than the receiver. You want to be happy in life, do things. And you don't have to do things for other people. I mean, that will make you happy. But if there's nobody needy in your face right this moment, and you say, well, I want to be happy, who can I do something for? Of course, there's always charities. You can always donate, whatever. But just doing things will make you happier than sitting still. Michelle is correct. A lot of studies have studied lottery winners. The majority of lottery winners don't have a better life afterwards. The majority. A huge percentage of them lose all their money within the first 5 years. I don't know what the percentage is, but a huge percentage, maybe more than half, lose their entire winnings within the first 5 years because they don't know how to handle money. Because the normal way to get money is you build your ability to handle responsibilities. And as you can handle more and more responsibilities, more money is entrusted to you. That's just how economics works. So the lottery is a cheat system. You get a whole bunch dumped on you without having gone through the steps to learn responsibility for handling it. So most lottery winners lose everything within 5 years. Another percentage of lottery winners end up far less happy after winning. And another percentage, and again, you have to look it up. I don't know the exact percentages, but a good percentage of lottery winners say they wish they never got a penny of that money because it made their lives so much more complicated and difficult. And I mean, if you have bad habits that require money, like this one psychologist said, he said the worst thing you can do is give money to a drug addict. Because as long as they don't have money, they're safe. And as soon as you put money in their hands, you're actually giving them a death sentence in a lot of cases. So think of it like that. Not that every lottery winner is a drug addict, but a lot of people who don't have money have very bad habits. And that might be part of the reason they don't have a lot of money. Now, I'm not saying everybody who's poor has bad habits. And I'm not saying everybody who's middle class and stayed middle class has bad habits. That's not what I'm saying. But there are a lot of people with bad habits, and they don't get to exercise the full extent of their bad habits because they don't have enough money to. And then you dump a bunch of money onto them, and boom, now they're going crazy. And that craziness is not healthy. And they end up like, whoa, in the gutter. Right, Valerie, absolutely right. It's about what you know how to deal with money and your own personal morality. Completely true. So we got through all 3 questions. I haven't had anybody get mad yet, I don't think. Tie-dye and Dawn might be mad at me. I'm not sure. But so far, everybody seems pretty much okay with these answers, even if you disagree. Tie-dye and Dawn's not mad. Did I lose Vincent's Rock Garage or was he just checking in temporarily? So, oh, he's just so. Vincent Rucker is just like, he's like making a checklist of revenge ideas. So now I would say number 2 was the hardest. Number 2 is the hardest because I myself would have picked kids over a spouse until I heard the psychology and the reasoning behind why you would pick the spouse first. And then again, and it's also very specific because it only works if the marriage is very healthy and strong and the family overall is very healthy and strong. Okay. The dog thing, I might have picked dogs before I heard the psychological reasoning for that. But now that I heard it, I'm very disturbed how many people will pick dogs over people. The money thing, also very disturbing. I go on a lot of Facebook pages just to argue, and I find a lot of people are like, literally think, once you hit a certain level of success, you should not be allowed to make another dollar. If you do, every dollar you make after that should be confiscated from you and given to the federal government so they can put it into programs to help people. And it's like, that is terrifying to me. Terrifying for so many reasons. First of all, we never limit success. We should never limit somebody's dreams or success. Secondly, who are you to morally think that you know when somebody has had too much success? How do you know how they're spending their money? What if they're spending their money to cure a disease or to save a whole country? And you want to take all that money and give it to the federal government? Are you kidding? Have you looked into how much money the federal government loses and wastes? Do you know that for every dollar the federal government takes from any of us to put into programs to help people, if you follow that dollar, pennies, nickels, dimes are stripped away as it works through all the layers of bureaucracy. And do you know how much money actually gets to the people intended to help? Very little. I would bet everything I have, the majority of times it's less than half, less than 50 cents on the dollar, but it's usually worse. It's usually something like a penny, 5 cents on the dollar actually gets to what that program was intended for. Meanwhile, the wealthy person who already has made their money, knows exactly how much money they have, and has very clear intentions for it, they're going to use that money to build more businesses, which are going to create more products that help all of us. They're going to create more jobs for all of us. They're going to lower the costs for all of us. And they're going to be able to give directly to charity. And because it's their money, they're going to be much more careful which charities they give to. So they're going to give to charities that they've investigated to make sure that they're using their money wisely. And that's not all rich people, but in general, that's what I find. Janelle, I don't think we're doing stones tonight because Christina's not feeling well, and I'm kind of just hanging out here. So we're just talking. But I don't know. Who knows? The night is young. We might do something crazy. Right. Trish is right. How would you feel after? How would you feel if you sacrificed your whole life while everybody else was going out and partying, and then finally at the end of your life you finally made it really big for all that sacrifice, and as soon as you make it big, the government comes in and says, nope, we're going to take it all away because you don't deserve it, because you're bad, because automatically being rich means you're bad. I don't know. You would be horrified. But James said we should also have a very strong social net, and that is the measure of a healthy society. Even biblically, the way you take care of the people who can least take care of themselves is a measure of how healthy your society is. And that can be through government programs if they can work, because not all government programs are equal. Some do much better than others. But it can also be through private charities. And best of all, it can be from neighbors taking care of each other. the old-fashioned way, people taking care of the person right in front of them, the person right next door, the person right down the street, the person in their own family. Hello, account. So I would say tie-dye and dawn. I like the tax code of the 1800s a little bit better, but that's just me. I'm not going to argue that because that's just a whole opening up way too many worms. I can't handle all those worms in one show. But in any case, all right, we made it through. We made it through all three questions, and we're still happy, and we're still good friends. On that note, I'm going to drink some water. Listening to butterflies. James, something that really bothers me today is how many nursing homes there are. How many family members stick their elderly in nursing homes? That bothers me a lot. A lot of different things. Salvador Dali designed jewelry. Did he really? I watched a bunch of documentaries on him just recently, and he is fascinating. He and his wife were this power couple that just did so many different things that artists don't do, and they became at one point they were the wealthiest artists on earth, because they did so many things better. And that's a fun topic to talk about. If anybody here is an artist and wants to know how can I possibly make money, like study Salvador Dali. Basically, you want to melt clocks. Like if you take clocks and put them on radiators until they melt, that'll make you the richest artist around. Oh, he designed tarot cards too. That's so crazy. Picasso was another one of those. He did everything. He did painting, pottery. He painted on pottery. He had his hands in all different kinds of visual arts, sculpture. He, I don't think his wife poisoned him, but he definitely, what's it called? What was I going to say? Oh, he did a lot of performance art. He was very big on performance art, and that's a lot of what rose him to fame. It's not his visual art. His performance art got everybody aware of him, and then they discovered his visual art. His daughter's a jewelry designer. That's cool. Oh my gosh, Rick, that is awful. Absolutely awful. I'll have to look out into that, Selena. Are you talking about Picasso or Dali? Says pretty sure that wasn't the case with Dali. Zelina, I'm here to stretch your intellectual muscles, so that's good. Thank you, Ty Diane. I'm going back and reading some comments I missed just now. So I didn't know Dali designed jewelry. That's really awesome. She was poisoning him regularly. Yeah, if you type over a certain number of words and then you hit send, it just deletes the whole thing. It's not fun. It doesn't say, hey, you might want to shorten this comment. It's too long. It just deletes your whole comment. Oh, that's awesome, Tab Martel. Is it only one melted clock painting? I thought he had a few. Rousseau. Rousseau, the writer? I wasn't aware there was a Rousseau who was a visual artist. Yeah, I know. And the Social Security thing is really, really discouraging because a lot of people have said if you took all the payments that people have paid into Social Security and just stuck them in a mutual fund or an index fund or any simple stock portfolio, they would have garnered you like over 10 times the amount of money that the government decides to pay you back when you finally get to the age where they say you deserve it back. It's ridiculous. Huh. So there's a Rousseau. I'll have to look that up. I only know about which Rousseau do I know? The political theorist from the 1800s who was like a writer. Isn't there a Rousseau? Or am I thinking of Thoreau? Am I thinking of someone else? Oh. All right. So, yeah, Salvador Dali, was just phenomenal. His wife Gala, and him, what they did was just absolutely. They did so many things so smart, and we can talk about them if anybody here wants to know how can I make money making art. Yeah, James, that's what happened. From what I understand, the Social Security fund was supposed to be completely separate, so the government let it just gain money and never touched it. It was like basically forcing you to save your own money. That's what it was supposed to be. And then somewhere along the line, I think in the 70s, the politicians were like, oh, we need some more money. We haven't spent enough. And they just started dipping into the Social Security fund and putting that into their general spending and dipping in until there was like nothing left. And then to pay out the people who were promised payments, they had to start taking in the new money coming from the younger people and giving that as payments, but there was nothing going into the fund anymore to, increase in value. So that's a very simplistic explanation, and I'm sure there's some little points in there where I could have tweaked it better, but that's my understanding. You can correct me if you know more about it. And that's why, James, the one thing the government cannot take from you is your cabochons. The government's not going to come and take your art so far. So if you make art, that is something that's untouchable. Unless your country happens to get into a war with dictatorial countries, and then sometimes art gets stolen. But we haven't seen that happen in a little while. All right, any other topics? I'm done. I'm gone. I burned through all my topics for today. I wanted to talk about a more lighthearted thing, but I'm not sure. We're kind of in a heavy mood now. Maybe we should stick with the heavy stuff. Wow. Wow, Paloma Picasso. What a pretty name. How many of you think a lot of Picasso's name recognition comes from the fact that it's such a cool name to say? It just kind of like dances off the tongue. Picasso. It's like popcorn. It's like Picasso. I don't know. There's a number of reasons why he's one of the most recognized household name artists. I think that might be one of them. Just psychologically, that's just my guess. I could be wrong. Well, the lighthearted topic. Okay, everybody ready for the lighthearted topic? The lighthearted topic. Name something in a movie that you find ridiculously unrealistic and makes you want to slap your forehead and be like, oh my gosh. There's bazillions of them. But what's something that gets you? Especially sci-fi movies, if you're a science stickler, or action movies, if you understand how the nature of fighting works and how unrealistic they are, or I don't know, the fact that in every action movie somebody ends up crawling through a grating duct, the heating duct. They end up crawling through a heating duct. And have you ever seen a building that had a heating duct big enough for a human to crawl through? Like, um, or the fact that every single time someone in New York City has to get somewhere, they pull up to a skyscraper right in front of the front door, and there's a parking spot right there. Okay, when they shoot a gun, like bam, 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 like they're just throwing the bullets, meaning like they're not even bothering them, like they're not going to run out. Is that what you mean? There's a number of things about shooting guns that hopefully YouTube's not going to be mad at me for saying those words. There's a number of things in movies that are super unrealistic. Anything that involves kidnapping, interesting. Expand on that. When they're driving the car and have a green screen. A stick of dynamite blowing up a car. A stick of dynamite wouldn't normally do that. Yeah, flatliners, that was pretty crazy. The duck scene in the Breakfast Club. I only saw the Breakfast Club once, and I didn't like, it didn't sink in 100%. Yeah, most dialogue. That's why Family Guy was one of the first to do this. Family Guy puts a lot of stuttering into their characters, and it makes it so much more realistic, which makes it funnier. I don't know why it makes it funnier. It just does, because you can just picture it feels more like a real conversation, even though they're saying outrageous things. Yeah, I would say conversation and fighting have this same problem. The majority of people having a conversation interrupt each other, step over each other, talk at the same time, pause, say, no, you go first. There's a lot of this going on. But in movies, it's all smooth. One person talks, the other person responds. One person talks, the other person responds. And if the one person is making a really good point and destroying the other person in the argument, the other person just curls up and dies. Whereas in real life, if somebody was making a really good point in an argument, the other person would start shouting over them to shut up. They wouldn't let them keep talking. So same with fighting. You watch any boxing match, 99% of the punches are not perfect misses or perfect hits. It's something in between. It's glancing blows that kind of hit the gloves, kind of hit the arms, kind of hit the shoulders, almost hit the face. You can't tell if it hit the face or not. And as soon as they get one direct hit in, it usually knocks the guy down. One solid, direct, full force hit, usually it's over, at least it'll knock the guy down, at least temporarily. Whereas in the movies, every single swing is either a perfect dodge, a perfect block, or a perfect hit. And the main character and the bad guys can take 9, 10, 11 direct hits to the face before they actually fall over. And then they recover really quick, and they can take 3, 4, or 5 more direct hits to the face. Not realistic. In real life, a very healthy, strong person giving another person a direct hit to the face is usually going to knock them down, possibly knock them unconscious, and there's a slight possibility it would kill them. One hit. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 direct hits, chances of that person dying go way up. They're not going to fall over, be like, oh, get all dazed, and then get back up and get back in the fight. No. And now I'm not talking about little kids boxing. I'm not talking about slap fighting. I'm not talking about pulling hair. And I'm talking about real grown men direct punching someone in the face. Not gonna take more than 2 or 3 hits before that person's hospitalized. Oh, interesting. Beat it. I would say the opposite. Basically, here's how the movie goes. If you get shot in the chest, it's over. If you get shot, if they want the character to be wounded but keep going, they always get shot in the shoulder. If they want them to be close to death but struggle a lot and maybe they can survive, but you don't know if they're going to survive, stomach. Those are the choices. Shoulder, Shoulder means they're tough. They took it. They can keep fighting, but now it's a lot harder. Chest, it's over. Stomach, 50-50. You don't know if they're going to make it or not. And they hold you in suspense while they're dragging around that person, trying to get them to the hospital as they're, and they're bleeding from their stomach. Oh, wow, Michelle. Did you really? Michelle, this is what we're talking about. The topic is basically what in movies is so unrealistic it drives you crazy when you see it. And it could be anything. It could be science. It could be unrealistic parking spaces, unrealistic heating vents. Right. Oh, that's another thing. If they shoot the person in the head, yeah, that's over. The weird thing is, a lot of people, not a lot, but a weird significant number of people actually get bullet wounds in the head and survive, because a lot of times bullets do really weird things. They don't always go straight through. The second they hit a bone, they usually ricochet and go in a different direction. And sometimes, there are people who've been shot in the foot and that bullet bounced around through their leg and made its way all the way up into their regular body and killed them. Like bullets are so weird and unpredictable. Yep, I was talking about the fight scenes. Perfect food on the plates. I think that's everybody's beef when it comes to how you see a menu item, you see the burger on the photo as opposed to how it arrives on your plate. You're right. There you go. Rick Sumner just said it. Yeah, the coughing blood. Coughing blood, they're either going to die or they're really wounded and it's serious. Oh, here's one. I can't believe they still do this, because this is the dumbest thing. It's so easy to fix. It's so easy to fix, and it's so dumb. Those shock paddles, the shock paddles when somebody goes unconscious and they want to restart their heart. You can't put them on top of clothing. If you put them on top of clothing, their clothing will catch on fire. That has to be done on skin. You have to remove the shirt to put those paddles on somebody. Every time. That's the first thing you learn as an EMT. You can't let those paddles anywhere near clothing. Not only will it catch their clothing on fire, the shock won't be directly delivered to their heart the correct way, because the clothing will act as an insulator. And you have to have the gel. I don't know is the gel absolutely necessary. I don't know about that. I should know that because I learned some EMT stuff in the Army, but yeah, they never ever put the gel. So that's crazy. That's like so wrong. Move the jewelry, yeah. Wave of the hand, close the eyes of dead person. Does that not happen, Rick? I didn't know that was unrealistic. Is that not a thing? Is it a thing that doesn't work, or is it a thing that people just don't do in real life? Oh, you have to close them like separately with like two separate fingers, like as opposed to going like that. Never jump on the gurney. You mean jump on top of the person being carried? All right, so this just looks more dramatically beautiful than this. Like if they went like this and they went like that looks a little weirder. penny on the eyes. I don't know what that's referring to, unless you're talking about a horror movie. They wake up and don't go straight to the bathroom. Yeah, how about the fact that people in TV shows never eat unless they're at a restaurant to have a conversation, never drink, never go to the bathroom, um, and never watch TV unless there's a reason they're watching TV, like it's part of the plot. But they never, like, it's something fat. I mean, it's good. If we lived our lives without TV, we'd probably be more productive. But how funny is it that people just, the majority of what real people do in real life is never in the movies. Like, the average person probably spends 60% of their waking hours eating, going to the bathroom, or watching TV. Like, Valerie doesn't wake up and go straight to the bathroom. And now I have to think about that. No, I don't wake up and go straight to the bathroom, but once I'm out of bed, I go to the bathroom and shower and go to the bathroom. So when I wake up, I could look at my phone for a whole hour and not go to the bathroom. But that's because I've built up a very impressive bladder, as people who've watched this show for over a year know. When you drink tons and tons and tons of water, because the Army trained you to, it actually expands your body's ability to hold a lot of water without having to go. No, Miss G is absolutely correct. Nobody wants to watch a movie of people watching TV and eating and going to the bathroom. Maybe there's a few weirdos out there that do want to watch that, but it wouldn't make a very good television show when you're trying to tell the story. Yeah, if generally the general public is dehydrated. That's what I learned in the Army. I was dehydrated my whole life until I got in the Army. So once I started drinking a lot more correctly, which is tons more water, I can hold it a really long time without even thinking about it. It's not just your bladder, like the cells throughout your whole body are used to absorbing more, and you can sit there for hours sometimes without going to the bathroom, where a normal person would have went way sooner. Women never carry designer bags in movies. That's an interesting thought. I have a question for all of you who have been designing and making jewelry on this channel, because I found this. I don't notice a lot of things. I have severe ADHD. After about a year, after the first year or two of selling jewelry full time, I found that every time I watch a TV show or movie, I noticed earrings and necklaces, like especially unusual ones. Sometimes I get ideas from TV shows. Who else has noticed that since you started making jewelry, you notice jewelry more, both on TV and in real life? Oh, hi, butterflies again. Oh, do I think Alec Baldwin should be charged? That's so interesting. I'm not an Alec Baldwin hater or lover, so I think I have a pretty neutral opinion on that. Like, I don't have any emotion in it. A lot of people were really, really mad at him, especially since the hypocritical nature of it, that he's a very anti-gun person in his politics, and then he mishandles a gun on his own movie set, and someone dies. I think he should be charged with some form of what's it called, manslaughter, which means somebody died on your watch because you were irresponsible. It doesn't mean you intended to hurt someone. It just means somebody died and you're partially responsible because you were negligent. I think because it was his movie and he controlled everything, and there were reports that they didn't use the proper safety people. There were reports from safety people that they weren't following proper protocol, specifically with firearms earlier on. I think definitely he has some culpability, and he should be charged with at least, um, a, at the very least, a lawsuit. He should be, if he hasn't volunteered already, he should be giving huge bucks to that poor family. Um, um, I I don't think he should be charged with any level of murder. I don't think he had any intention to hurt the person. I don't think. Um, yeah, and that's where I'm. That's as far as I can say, because I'm not an attorney and I'm not a cop and I'm not a judge and I don't know the laws, all the little details of the laws on that. Um, but yeah, I think so I don't know. I don't know if that means should he do some time, or should he pay a huge fine, or should he pay a huge retribution? There's probably going to be a civil suit on top of it, but should there be a criminal court case? I think there should be something. I think he should stand before a court and have to account for every detail of what happened on that film. Um, and then let a jury decide, you know, but I'm not the expert in that. Um, and there's a lot I don't know about firearms. Like blanks can hurt or kill people. I've heard. Like blanks aren't what you think they are. They're not necessarily just something that makes a pop and nothing projectiles out. Like there are blanks where there's actually different levels between something that just makes a pop and something that actually shoots something out, and then actually live ammunition. There's all these different levels, and I'm not the expert on that. I'm just spouting out stuff I've heard. Yeah. Michelle, did you hear that blanks could kill from me just now, or did you hear that on your own? Because I remember hearing that a while back, but again, I don't know all the details. I do know, obviously, Brandon Lee. Was it Brandon Lee? Bruce Lee's son was killed on the movie The Crow, shooting that movie. He was killed by either a blank or what should have been a blank. Were they live rounds in the blank dislodged a stuck bullet? Oh my gosh! So it was live rounds mixed in with blanks. Ugh. That sounds really, really, really shady as far as whoever was taking care of that. I mean, you would think if you're shooting a movie and you have millions of dollars and you're actually using a gun that can shoot real live ammunition, you'd think the number one thing you'd want to do is quadruple check that stupid weapon 7 times a day when it's on set. It just seems like it just seems like the number one thing you do. Um, Miss G says the human race is just blah, and I am not unfamiliar to that feeling. Um, not like Austria or Australia. I've never heard Austria or Australia put into the same uh, sentence before. Um, yes, Tom King. We're talking. We're talking about Alec Baldwin. I'm only laughing because I'm pretty sure it's only one person. Hopefully, yeah, James. That's a good point. With CGI, there's so many different ways you can go about. I'm sure people still want to make. They want to avoid CGI as much as possible because nothing beats the most realistic thing, but we're getting closer and closer to where CGI can make anything look realistic. Oh, Austria, and I knew about Australia. I didn't know anything about Austria. Yeah, very, very, very interesting. I'd love to get into that, but I can't. I have to stay clear of very um I haven't, James. I know that the CGI and even in the first Star in the prequels to Star Wars was really, really well done. And that was real early on. Oh no, Miss G. I would say immediately start taking vitamin D and drinking a lot of water. That's my only suggestion. Okay, what's another topic? Anything else in movies that are unrealistic? Anything else? Unfortunately, we can't talk about politics too much because that'll just erupt into a crazy like there's too many passionate feelings on both sides or multiple sides of every issue. Chewable tablets, that sounds good. Flu A. Interesting. So that's all I had. I came armed with 3 questions that we've been through, and then the topic of movies. That's all I have today. I didn't bring anything else. I'm gonna get more water. Looking around to see if there's an open water. I usually leave open bottles everywhere. Be right back. Oh my gosh. Bye, Yolanda. Is it how you say it? A whole bunch of comments just came up that were stuck. Selena, is anyone else worried with all people telling you to hydrate? Ooh, cute Orthoceras necklace. Ooh, jewelry trends. That's a good point. I think I was going to make a video on that. Um, the gallery is coming along. A lot of places that we are the realtor looked at fell through, and now we're looking at newer places. I actually have to call him tomorrow because today is Sunday, and I wouldn't call him on a Sunday. The thermometer is not looking good. Not because anything bad happened, just I to stay on the safe side so I don't have any more problems with the mall here because I had some friction with them the last few months. I paid off the rent here for several months in advance, and that was really, really responsible, but it also cut into the savings a little bit. So the thermometer really hasn't moved for that reason. I wouldn't say it's gone down. It just hasn't. It's kind of stayed flatlined for the last couple months. But oh wow, tie-dyeing. Oh, I thought of another topic. We could talk about. Someone said how technology helps you find someone so quickly. I don't know the details on that. I could talk about astronomy. I've been studying like planets and solar systems and junk like that for a better part of a year now. No opening a storefront, Tom. I do so much better online. I make so much more selling stones to you guys, getting the ad revenue from YouTube, a number of other things. It's so much better than when I used to sell directly to the public. What food tastes better slightly burnt? Toast, potatoes. What else? What else? Definitely not steak. Marshmallows. Backstage pass lanyards. I will say, if anybody's close enough to come visit the studio here, please reach out to me. We've had visitors. We're open to visitors. We love all of you. We'd love to have you come visit. So just because I'm not open to the public doesn't mean I'm not open to you guys. And if you come and visit, I won't put a limit in general on how long you can stay. You can come for several days. You want to, we don't have room here. Yeah, you can sleep right on the floor behind me if you want, or you can get a hotel if you want something more comfortable. Pizza. Pizza often tastes better when it's reheated, if it's reheated in a conventional oven, not a microwave. But pizza that's put in the fridge and then the next day put in a regular oven and cooked at the right temperature for the right amount of time, often even yummier. I am at the Springfield Mall outside the Philadelphia area. All right, Beat It, just contact me. See what you can do. Crackers and cold cuts. Baxter Monkey told me I need to get an air fryer. I haven't done it yet. I've heard it's all the rage. Nuke it and then crisp it in a frying pan. That sounds not too bad of an idea. Amanda, acrylic is the easiest to start with because there's nothing like water-based as opposed to oil-based. But I am trying to move into oil. I took some oil classes and I want to start doing oil more because the colors are more vibrant and the blending is more amazing. Natal charts. Is that like newborn babies or is that like horoscopes? I'm not smart with that. Nobody wants to talk about the solar system. I'm so sad. All right, here's one more. What is your favorite movie or TV show to come out in the last 5 years that might be on Netflix that you can recommend? I will tell you mine in a second. What is your top recommendation that someone can go to Netflix right after this show and watch that you recommend, a movie or TV series that is just so phenomenal that you think anyone who hasn't seen it needs to see it? An asteroid is coming near Earth. Near is a very deceptive term. Journalists love to use the word near when there's something coming, orbiting near the Earth, meaning like even further out than the moon, but it's still kind of near as opposed to things that are way, 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 way further out. Grace and Frankie. I have not heard of it. Is that good? What's that about? The Walking Dead? I started to watch that in the middle with somebody who's already into it, and I kind of got into it and never really fully. The Boys. I heard The Boys is good. I'm gonna write that down. I might want to look at. I heard that was good. The Boys. The new JW. Oh, the James Webb Telescope. Yeah, that's gonna be exciting. How do I feel about Pluto? I was very upset that they downgraded Pluto until I did the research. And doing the research means I watched some YouTube videos. YouTube had, Pluto had to be downloaded. Absolutely. If Pluto wasn't downloaded, had to be downgraded. It cannot be allowed to be a full planet. If we let Pluto continue to be a full planet, we would have to have like 29 planets instead of the 8 we have. Pluto is now considered a dwarf planet, which is a lower grade. It's not a full planet. The reason is Pluto was like the 9th planet when we were like, oh yeah, it's the last planet out there after Neptune. 9 planets. And then we just found out about 20 years ago that no, Pluto is not a planet. It is an asteroid. Pluto is in a second asteroid belt with millions of other asteroids, many of them the same size as Pluto or bigger. Why did we only find Pluto and not the rest of those objects flying around? Because Pluto happens to be incredibly reflective. It's made of minerals and metals and stuff that reflect the sun even from way far out. So we found Pluto. Actually, it was discovered in 1930, but we didn't find until the 90s that Pluto is one of millions of Pluto-sized little things all in another asteroid belt going around, and it's called the Kuiper Belt. So you can't let Pluto stay a planet. If you did, you'd have to name a whole bunch of these other little things planets also, and the word planet would just be useless. So they downgraded it to a dwarf planet. And hi, Tiffany. And they made very specific rules on what makes a planet versus a dwarf planet. An actual planet has to clear its orbit, meaning it's not in an orbit with tons of other debris. A planet has to have a clear orbit, meaning it picked up all the other debris in its orbit and became part of that planet, or it took all the debris and turned it into moons. So, am I going to play guitar soon? I guess I could play guitar while I talk. People always hate that, so I can do that. I have my guitar here, and where did I put it? Oh. I just brought, oh, there it is. Really out of tune. Oh, Valerie is going to Mars. And Mike says the Earth is flat. Absolutely. Ooh, I can actually tune it I have this tuner thing on this other device here. You're going to hear little clunks if I get it in tune. Whoa, that's way out. Oh, wow. That was way sharp. little better. Happy New Year, Cindy. All right, I missed 13 Reasons Why. Is that about the suicide high school thing? Blue ball of ice. Oh, you have a new baby, Tiffany? Earth is losing a percentage of its energy. I don't know about that. What do I do? What do I fear? Missed potential, missed opportunity. I fear, my most horrific fear is missing out on becoming everything you can be for myself and for every other person I meet. And then Miss G. Miss G is the second most horrific fear, especially when she makes that spicy empanadas and doesn't share them. I have nightmares of her making spicy empanadas and me sitting at the table and not being allowed to have one. Thank you, Tiffany. And that might sound like a trite answer, like, well, obviously he fears lions and tigers more than that. No. If I reach what I believe is my potential, like, who knows what your ultimate potential is, but like, or what that even means. But if I reach what I feel is the healthy place I want to be with the biggest goals I have, and I face a lion or tiger, I will be like, I'm ready. Chew me up. I might not be like that, but deep down in my inner core, I'll be like, well, I had a good run. As opposed to seeing that tiger and being like, I'm not ready. No, I still haven't XYZ, ABC. The moon is moving away from the Earth. I think like 3 feet every year or 3 inches. It's one of those, but not enough that it'll make a difference in our lifetime. It'll literally be like tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of years from now, the moon will appear much smaller. It'll probably affect the tides a lot too and other stuff. Oh, I got to turn this thing off now. All right, so more questions. What else are we going to talk about? All right, we'll do this. We'll do an AMA, against medical advice, or ask me anything. That's what people do their first live show or their first couple live shows, they do an AMA. Ask me anything. Go ahead. Ask me anything. I know, Zelina, it's pretty intense, isn't it? Zelina, you asked me a question. I missed it. Can you repeat it, please, my dear? I don't want to scroll up and look for it because then I'll miss a bunch of the next things people say. Oh, they put a tiger down because he mauled someone's arm. What makes me a workaholic, or what's the definition of a workaholic? Do I wear other t-shirts? Not really. I really, really like black. It's so easy and it just works. I'll put another shirt over it. Or if I'm wearing a button-down shirt without a t-shirt, I might pick a different color. I tend to just like black and blue though. It reminds me of how I feel when I get beat up. Our Packers going to win the Super Bowl. Oh yes, I said I was a workaholic. What makes me one? Meaning what's my motivation, or I am happiest when I am working in flow mode. Flow is a new psychological term that means when you're at that level of working where you know exactly what you're doing, everything's in place, you are performing what you are best at in your best ability, and you're challenging yourself a tiny bit so you're learning as you go, but you're also really comfortable with that place. And when you're in that workflow mode, I am happier in that place than almost anywhere else in the world, for most of the day. That is my happy place, and I will stay there if I can get to that place, especially if I have my eyes on a goal that's down the road and this is leading me there. I am happiest in that place. I could probably stay there, not no exaggeration, 14, 15 hours. I could stay there 14 to 15 hours. I don't want to eat. I don't want to drink. I don't want to go to the bathroom. I don't want to watch TV. I don't want almost anything, except to stay there. And it's not a place that I can always get to. A lot of things get in the way. Like I'm missing a tool. I'm missing the help from one of my employees, or I don't know, something distracted me, like some phone call. I need to handle an emergency that takes me away. But where's my second happiest place? I think equal to that happy place would be with somebody I was very, 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 very close to. That would be the other happy place. And you can take that for whatever, you take that and run with it. Any other questions? The couch. I actually think couches are amazing. I sleep better on couches usually than beds. I once had an apartment in Philadelphia, a really nice apartment, and for the whole 2.5 years, I think I had that apartment, I didn't have a bed. I just had a really, really comfortable couch. I don't have a dog. I would love to have a dog someday. I was raised without dogs. I currently live with my dad, who does not like dogs. I mean, he likes dogs, but he doesn't like owning them. He doesn't like how dirty they get and how hard they are to take care of. He likes cats. So for now, we have cats. My role models at the moment, I would have to say my number one role model is Gary Vee. And a little bit further down the line is Jordan Peterson. To the person who invented couches, yeah. Your feet are dogs, yeah. Yeah, more so, I would say Gary Vee pretty much is my only role model at the moment. I had other role models, and they kind of fell along the way when I realized they had issues. More issues than I realized. Yeah, it's probably Gary Vee, and then and not so much a role model, but more someone I think I really like to listen to, because I like the way he talks and I like the way he analyzes things, is Jordan Peterson. And he's all over. They're both all over YouTube like crazy. You can look either one of them up. No, Gary Vee isn't tough love. He's more like workaholic / positivity guy. He is like the super positivity guy, but he's also a workaholic. Don't make a YouTuber your role model. I think I should be everybody's role model here. No. I know, Miss G. I know the feeling. Listening to butterflies, I think so. I think they will be. I mean, it's up to him ultimately, but I think he would really like that. What am I looking for in love? That's a topic I'm probably not going to discuss on the internet. Wild Mango is super happy to be 50. That's awesome. Beltar from Coneheads. Oh, listening to butterflies, that's wonderful. What qualities am I attracted to? Well, I can't tell you that because then, yeah, all the sister wives will be jealous. Exactly. Ba-ba-bum. I will tell you, I definitely have specifics that Miss G says he likes them thick. Um, I mean, I definitely see people and say, "Oh, that is attractive." I definitely have specifics. I'm not just like whatever. Um, and I'm not going to tell you what they are, but this is going to sound very like, yeah, right. He's just saying this to try to sound like he's super cool, whatever. But no, this is, I mean, I found a while back that a personality way more than makes up for a physical presence. Like someone with a very attractive personality is way more attractive than somebody with a very attractive face and figure. And that's not to say the face and figure doesn't matter. It totally matters. But when you weigh them, the personality really can overcome the physical looks a lot. And if you can get a little of both, then it's really, really great. Tall, dark, and handsome. Pearl crabs. What's pearl crabs? James is attracted to people. And that's good because there's a long line of women from this show who are going to show up at his Arizona home looking for a cuddle buddy to get them through the winter. Do I like older women? That's a good question. Should I? Are there reasons why I should? Do you know how to convince somebody? Yeah. Yeah, because you'll see a million pretty faces and pretty figures, but I found what sticks in my brain like, whoa, are things that people have said, things that people have said, like things in people's personalities, things they said, things they did, a lot more than how somebody looked. Stuff I remember years later that's like, whoa, that got my attention is way more something they did, uh, something they said or did. It's way more like sticks in my psyche than an outfit someone wore or a way someone was built or a waist or a pretty face or something. Miss G says, I like pretty figures. My favorite medium, Tom, good question. It's quickly moving. It was clay like for years. It's quickly moving to paint and wood sculpture. I'm really getting into this, and it's like I hope I can show some videos of stuff I'm working on in the next few months. Really getting exciting, like multimedia sculpture stuff. Miss Jesus, I'm done with the good heart and personality. Bring me that hottie. Bring me that hottie with the tight little. Miss G is like, oh yes. Let's put some hot sauce on that, and we're done. Sexy hands. You don't say. That's very interesting. What? Tell me more about these hands. You notice the black paint? Is that sexy? Black paint I left on my hands from the last thing I was working on. Yes, Tom King, the very, very much, very accurate. The only thing I don't like about carving wood is I'm so impatient. I want it to go faster. Clay, you just wood, you gotta zzz, and then go back and sand it and shape it. And I'm a little impatient for that. I might need to hire a bunch of people to like stand around me and be like, here, sand this. Here, smooth this out. Here, finish cutting this. Yeah, it matches my shirt. Go do some needlework or paint, Mango. Oh yeah, the rubber gloves. I'm probably gonna have to use a lot of them, especially if I do oil, I'm gonna have to have gloves all the time because I put my fingers all over the paint. I smooth it with my fingers and everything, and that's really bad. You get that oil paint in your skin and it soaks in. The first couple times it probably won't hurt you, but if you're doing it constantly, wax casting. Do I have any regrets? My biggest fight in life is to overcome my regrets. I do. I do often, and they torture me. They're my biggest source of torture is regrets. And my biggest hope is that I can get to a point where I overcome, meaning I do so much in the next few years that I make up for the fact that I make up for the things I feel like I currently missed out on. That is, that's why I'm a workaholic. That drive is, that's another reason why I absolutely will work 15, some 16, some, when I said 15 hours, it could be easily 18 hours, but not day after day after day. But there are some days, if I'm in flow mode and everything's working, I'll work 18 hours and love every second of it. But if I have to do it day after day after day, then like 12, 13, 14 hours is good. Thank you, Valerie. It's very sweet of you. Thank you, Tiffany. It's very sweet of you. You guys are going to make me cry. Good night, Rick. Yeah, oil painting is really, really, it's luxurious. But it's a pain in the butt because you can't just use water. You got to use this like paint thinner stuff, and there's a few different kinds, and then you got to be careful how you dispose of it. Like, I hate stuff that requires extra responsibility. Thank you, Carly Stone. I just played around with some pastels I mentioned earlier. Yeah, I don't want to work I mean, I might work a 9 to 5 again someday, believe it or not. I might do. It's so easy. There's something about a 9 to 5. People complain, oh, a 9 to 5, it's like soul sucking. Something about a 9 to 5 that's so safe and comfortable and cozy because it's like being your own boss is so hard. It is so freaking hard being an entrepreneur. It is not fun and games and partying. It is detrimentally draining and difficult and scary. And there's something about a 9 to 5 where someone else takes care of all those issues, and you just got to show up and do what you're told to do, and then clock out at 5, and the rest of the day is yours, and the paychecks are coming. And it's like, I more so didn't do the 9 to 5 route because I couldn't find something that I liked to do for 8 hours a day that people wanted to pay me for. I always wanted to do weird and random things that nobody wanted to pay for, so I had to create my own path. Carly Stone, you love being an entrepreneur. What kind of entrepreneurial stuff do you do, or are you free to share? My favorite song, I have like 10 favorite songs, 20 favorite songs, and they change every year. So that's a hard one. I don't even know at this moment what my favorite song is. Favorite comedian, My favorite comedian probably right now is Bill Burr. Um, and then Andrew Schultz is he's kind of risque. I wouldn't watch him if you're family friendly, but Andrew Schultz is hilarious. He's a young guy who just started, and he is so funny. He's very risque. He's not just a little bit. He is like he's definitely past R rated, but he's so refreshingly hilarious. And oh, my favorite part about Andrew Schultz is just how he just tears apart um, ethnicities. He just blazes through ethnicities. He just like tears down all of the what's it called, the awkwardness of talking about different ethnicities, and he just makes everybody feel like free to laugh at themselves and laugh at everyone else and not feel guilty about it. Um, but it's you have to be very powerful. Like he's so good at it. Like you can't. It, I don't know. I know very few people who are as brave as him. My favorite gemstone, probably, I don't know. I still think abalone is just insane, even though it's like the other one, Bill Burr, is also a little risque. He's a little safer. He's quite a bit safer. Schultz is just insane. Schultz, he asks questions you're not allowed to ask, and he asks them in such a hilarious way that nobody tells him you're not allowed to. They just die laughing. Um, but oh yay. Yeah, I've loved abalone for so long. I still can't believe how amazing it is. It's just so pretty. It's so fantastic. But yeah, Bill Burr is also he also cuts political correctness quite a bit, but he plays it a little safer. He's a little more strategic about it. Carol Burnett, my mom loved Carol Burnett. She would watch her constantly. Miss G's not into comedians. Well, comedy can be refreshing if people don't let anyone get offended. If they fight that easily offendedness. Um, oh, a tornado! I didn't know Georgia was a tornado area. I do not sell my art in the mall. We used to listen to George Lopez years ago. Right, James, that's a good point. Like, why would you pay for a ticket if you already know what the person is about? Yeah, Rodney. My parents loved Rodney Dangerfield too. He was wild. Abbott and Costello. I know of them. I can't picture. I can't think of any of their routines off the top of my head. Oh, who's on first? Okay, yes, yes. Anyone who's never seen that one. Carrot Top. It's funny. Carrot Top gets such a bad rap. You wonder how he makes tons of money. Like, there's certain people that it seems like everybody hates them, and yet they're still super famous. Like, they've got to have a core following of people who really love them. But it blows my mind when there's people where it seems like they have 90% haters, and you're like, well, then how are they still doing what they do? Yeah, Robin Williams was great. George Carlin, everybody loved George Carlin. He was also a really like edgy, pushing the boundaries. Yeah, it's true. On YouTube, you can make money off of. I was just looking up. Please don't look these guys up because honestly, they don't have any talent. And I wouldn't say that about most people. I mean, there's a lot of people who have talent that is not my cup of tea. They have talent, they have skill. Maybe I think they have less skill than they deserve for the amount of fame, but they still have some skill. And then there's some people who have a great skill, but it's just not my opinion of what I enjoy. But there are these two guys that have been trending on social media for about 6 months now, and I finally looked up their backstory, and I could not believe they are famous just for causing trouble, and not even creative trouble. Like there's some YouTubers who go around pranking people, and that's kind of risque because sometimes the pranks are not nice, and it's like, they just go around like not, going around knocking people's hats off and then running away and giggling and like really stupid stuff. But I'm not even talking about that. At least that's somewhat creative. I mean, these two guys are like literally, they have no skill at anything in life except looking goofy. And it's easy to look goofy. Anyone can do it. And then just getting everyone to talk about them because they look goofy and they sound goofy. And just by sheer notion of getting everyone to talk about them, they've managed to monetize it. Now they're making a lot of money and they're like 19 years old. But I don't know who Gallagher is. But yeah, it sounds it's even worse. Even Jackass, I there was something to it that took some creativity. I mean, there was at least, you could say, bravery that these goofy guys were willing to put themselves through so much danger and pain just to make people laugh at them. But no, these two guys I'm talking about, don't even look them up. Trust me, don't Google them. I shouldn't even say their names, but you might have seen them. They're these two skinny little young guys from Florida, and they have these like, they have their hair like stuck up in these straight spikes that are like kind of like big fat dreadlocks, but sticking straight up, like they look like some kind of cartoon character, and they have face tattoos all over them. And I'm not even going to say their names, but they're these skinny, shriveled little 19-year-olds and with face tattoos and goofy hair, and they have no skill, zero. They say they're rappers, but they don't even rap. They just kind of sing a little jingle, and they don't even sing on key. They have auto tune. It's weird, but I don't hate them. I admire them. Because if they can capitalize on that, then good for them. They found a way to troll everybody and make a. I don't hate on almost anybody, but still, like, it's amazing. I know it sounds like a lot of YouTube, doesn't it? There's a lot of YouTube that's just so stupid, and you're like, who watches this? And then you go down to the comments, and there's these little 14, 15-year-olds like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. Oh my gosh, he's the greatest. And you're like, oh, what's wrong with young people? And then you feel old because you remember your parents saying that when you were a young person, or you remember that older generation being like, what's wrong with you hippies? But then you're like, no, really, what's wrong with young people? Like, really? But it's funny when you're young, when you're 13, 14, 15, like whatever is hot, whatever's trending, if it resonates with you on a certain level, like it's magical. Like you're in another universe. Like this is where you were. This is you want to step out of your reality and into this fake reality and live there. And that's comes when it comes to music stars, when it comes to movie stars, when it comes to Now some more so video games, but there's something about that age, 13, 14, 15. Whatever you get into, like whatever you get fascinated by, you're probably going to be hooked on that for life. Like if you were fascinated by a celebrity when you were 14, 15, you're probably still going to be in love with that celebrity when you're 67. I bet you're all thinking of examples right now. Bet you're all doing it. I know you are. I bet you're all going to name someone right now. It's not all of you. Some of you are going to be brave enough to name someone, but it's true. And when you're 13, 14, 15, like you haven't seen a lot of the world yet. So if that particular celebrity is an idiot, your brain doesn't exactly pick up on that necessarily. So you can be really infatuated with like really dumb people. Yeah, Kathy Rigg, I have no problem with any hustle. Any hustle, almost. Pretty much any hustle that doesn't hurt people. Um oh yeah, Johnny Depp. Oh my gosh. Johnny Depp like one of the most sculpted, perfect looking individuals on earth? Never mind that he's really talented. Sean Cassidy, David Cassidy. Impractical Jokers. I spent an entire year obsessed with Impractical Jokers. I would fall asleep watching. They had like marathons of them. I would sit there and watch them for like 3-4 hours and fall asleep watching them. I actually wanted to start a TV show that was like Impractical Jokers only with art before I started this YouTube channel. Keanu Reeves. Who's Johnny? Yeah, Johnny Depp wanted to be a musician, not an actor. He moved to California to make it in as a guitar singer songwriter. It's funny. I don't know if he's ever done any singing or guitar playing in any of his movies, but that was his original intent, and then he got scooped up, and that was the end. That was. I don't know that much about him. Other than that, I just know little tidbits of stuff I read here and there. He sang in Chocolat. Oh, I love Crazy. Some of my favorite interviews are what's his name? Tiger Blood guy. He's out of the news now. He was big in the news like 5 years ago. Who's the Tiger Blood guy? Oh my gosh, I loved his interviews. I like a certain level of crazy. I think is amazing. Charlie Sheen, yeah. Who's it? There's another guy kind of like Charlie Sheen that took it to the ultimate limit, and now he's gone. Possibly one or more governments might have taken him out, but John McAfee or McAfee, however you say it, the guy who made the McAfee antivirus system, he was a crazy dude. Crazy. Like, look him up on YouTube after this if you want. Like, there's hour-long documentaries on how insane he was. I'm not sure I approve of his level of insanity, but it's definitely interesting. He makes Charlie Sheen look like a Boy Scout. Danny DeVito's cool. He's a cool dude. He wanted to be a singer too. No, not Danny DeVito. Pesci. Joe Pesci wanted to be a singer. and he actually made an album, which is kind of. Some people said it was kind of good, and other people said it was kind of ridiculous. Pop culture and celebrity gossip, not really. Heather, I tend to I have a lot of confidence in my creative abilities. I have not a lot of confidence in many areas that other people find naturally confident. And like I have some issues with ADHD and like certain things where I'm just not confident. Um, I can tell you some of them if you want. Like, put me in a new city or a new country and tell me to find my way around and not get lost, or tell me to plan how to visit different landmarks and fun places. And any kind of planning of trips. No, no, I am not that. I'll let somebody else do all of that. I depend on other people. But creative when it comes to creativity, I'm my confidence is pretty close to 100. Like I can do anything better than anybody if I want to. That's my understanding of myself, and it's unshakable. Like I could make if I wanted to go into movies, I could make movies better than the movie makers out. If I wanted to take my guitar and become the best guitarist and devote 8 hours a day to doing that, by this time next year, I'd be doing guitar stuff that nobody's ever heard before. I like pretty much not much of a doubt in my mind. Um, no one can make clay blobbies. like, um, yeah, I am. So no, when it comes to pop culture, I'm always looking at pop culture and I'm like, that's good, that's good, that's good. I'm better than all of you. I could do any of that better than all of you if I wanted to. Once in a while, I meet somebody who's as good as me or slightly better. I would say even better than I could be if I tried really hard. And when I meet someone like that, I'm like, whoa. And I don't get jealous. I get intrigued. Like the music guy, Ruben, the music who works here, I just got super lucky. I mean, it's like it's hard not to believe in something greater than just the material world when you realize that of all the people in the world, I managed to find this guy and he wants to work in my studio and help me with music. Ruben is so ridiculously talented, like ridiculous. Go back and watch some of the videos where I say at the end of the video, music by Ruben Arana, and understand that he played every instrument, recorded himself, mixed it, wrote every note, engineered it. Like all of these things he does on these songs are usually done by separate people who have spent a lifetime learning to do these things. Like he is a he is a seven man company in one person, and not just that, but it's very tasteful. Sometimes you can get someone who can do seven, they can play four instruments and record and mix and write and do all that stuff. There's people out there like that, multi-talented. I can do that stuff too. I'm like way lower, less developed than him and less practiced, but I can do most of those things. But he can do them at a really high level, and his music is so tasteful. Like it's music you want to listen to, and that's something that's really hard to find. Like someone who can write a hook, who can write a hit, who can write a mood. Songwriting is one thing, but when you can write a mood that catches people, that people hear in their head like years later, that it changes their mood when they hear it, like that's almost something you can't teach. It's like lightning in a bottle. And the Beatles had it. And that's why the Beatles were not good singers and they were not good instrumentalists, but their songwriting was, they could capture a mood and put it into a simple melody and it would get you. And every single time you hear that melody for the rest of your life, you'll start to feel that mood. That is, that is very rare. And Paul Simon, I think, is one of the best. Stevie Wonder, like some of these songwriters are just like, oh, I don't know who AFI is. Karen Carpenter. She's an interesting one. She had a voice that was really unusual. Her brother is actually the power behind the music. Her brother did everything. Thank you, Carly Stone. Her brother just, you got to watch a documentary on them. It's sad, and at the same time it's like amazing. Like Karen was, she was an interesting character. But her voice is really. She has a really sweet, pure voice. If you could rate voices, hers would be. I think the word pure is a good definition. Like her voice isn't the most powerful voice. It's not a Aretha Franklin. It's not the most perfect voice in every way. It's not Whitney Houston, but it's so sweet and pure. It's like icing on a cake. It's every time you hear a note of it, you're just like, oh, like it's so soothing and clean and bright and pure. Well, they had to make her sing. I mean, she wanted to play drums, which is ridiculous because sure, she was a good drummer, but there's a drum. I hate to say this. Don't hate me. If you know any drummers, drummers are a dime a dozen. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said it. Now, there are some really good drummers that do interesting things. I mean, there's a few. There's more than a few, but the majority of what you need in a drummer is so easy to find. It is like you could pretty much get a computer to do it. You can get a drum track on a computer to do most of what you need to make good pop music. She sang a whole, oh, so she had really good breath control, that she could sing a whole line without having to stop to take a breath. Yes, she did, Carly Stone. There's certain things that fascinate me. Humans have blind spots. Blind spots, they kind of scare me, but they kind of fascinate me. No, I don't think singing killed her. I think she, unfortunately, when you watch, I felt horrible about. I don't think it was depression either. I felt horrible about Karen Carpenter, like the whole thing behind. Like I just felt terrible until I actually watched the documentary, and when I actually watched the documentary and I watched why and how she developed her neuroses, I realized she was kind of a detriment to herself. It sounds mean, but when you watch the whole thing, she was an interesting human being. But she was stubborn. She was very stubborn, and I don't want to say bratty, but it sounds mean, but she was very stubborn, and she wanted to do things her way, and she would never listen to anybody with a lot of things in her life. And I don't know if she was bullied into wanting to be thinner. That's always the assumption. But from what I gathered from watching the documentary, a really in-depth documentary, is that she just wanted to do her own thing, and she didn't give a crap what anybody said, and that came to her health too. Like she thought she was doing healthy things her way, and she didn't care what anybody said. And her brother was practically crying and screaming at her like the last few weeks to do things differently, and she basically said to him like, get out of my face, I'm doing what I want and I'm fine. I know what I'm doing and I'm totally happy. And yeah, like very much in denial. So again, nobody really knows what goes on inside someone's head and heart, but you can get there's clues. You can get clues by observing, you know, and learning about everybody around them and how they saw that person. And anyway, so that actually took away a lot of my sadness because it's a lot better to be like, um, oh, she was stubborn than to be like, oh, she was just this tortured, poor darling who was just never felt good enough, and everybody and everybody bullied her and everybody was mean to her and she was just too delicate for this world. Like that just brings you to tears if you think of it that way. Um, Kathy Rigg, I see. I don't, I didn't see that from the documentary. That's originally how I thought of it, that she was bullied and pushed aside and just wanted to be loved. But after watching the documentary, I was like, no, she's just stubborn. She was just almost bratty, like, and she was always that way, like wanting to play the drums and not wanting to be the singer. Um, like all through her childhood, like she was constantly at odds with her parents about everything under the sun. But I don't know. None of us really know deep down inside. And I don't know. I don't know if Richard was adored. I mean, he was really talented and he made the whole group work. Um, but he definitely didn't have the voice. He definitely wasn't the star. Well, everyone who has anorexia has body dysmorphia. Like, um, but some people, it's hard to know how to reach people. Like some people who are really unhealthy, um, are aware of it and are trying really hard and are just really weak or really, struggling. And then other people are stubborn and they don't want to listen and they don't even want to try to do the things that are healthy for them, or they don't even believe there's anything they're doing wrong. Like there's a lot of human psychology is wild. But yeah, I can listen to the Carpenters all day long, unless I want something like super exciting because they're a little bit chill. Um, or maybe Karen Carpenter, could be more than one documentary, or maybe she was both. Maybe she was a stubborn brat, but deep down inside she was desperately hurting and desperately sad and feeling bullied and feeling like she wasn't pretty enough. Like maybe it's both. I don't know. I don't know. Um, all I know is, going back to blind spots. I blind spots fascinate me. Um, I mean, you don't want to think of somebody who's a victim of a terrible death as being a brat. Like that's human nature. As soon as somebody passes away, you only want to think the best of them. But people are complicated, and we don't always know. We don't always know what was all going on there. Um, yeah. Um, yeah, I was thinking of some examples of blind spots, and then we got caught on Karen Carpenter, and I forgot. There's certain things in that just blow me away that the most of humanity can't see, and I see it clear as day. And some of them I can't talk about because, um, no matter how I try to phrase it, people get offended, and I don't want to get everybody heated and offended just because they misunderstand something that I'm trying to explain. So there's a couple I can't even talk about, and I'm not like advocating something awful or illegal. That's not the reason I can't talk about them. There's certain things that are just a little bit too on the edge for most people. Um, but I'm trying to think of some I can talk about, like really weird blind spots. Oh, here's one in music. Um, I've played drums. I've taken music lessons. I've taken piano lessons for years. In piano lessons, you have to learn rhythm. In every instrument, you have to learn rhythm as well as notes and everything. Of all the instruments I play, I had one of my friends tell me I am the best at drums. Like I have a very natural rhythm. I can hear when things on the radio are the tiniest bit offbeat and it irritates me. Like I can hear it in a lot of popular music. They try to get things as close as possible, but sometimes they let it go and they let the singer or the musician start or stop a measure a little bit off, a little bit too soon, a little bit too late, and I can hear it like crystal clear. That said, it blows my mind that people think drumming is hard. Like drumming is so easy. The basic drum beat. Now, not everybody can coordinate all four of their limbs, and you really only need three of them. You need 1 foot and 2 hands to make the basic drum beat, like boom, boom, which is the basis of all pop music, which is kind of boring to me, but that's what it is. It's so easy. It is so easy. And even the runs, da 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 da, like that is so easy to learn. Other instruments are a universe harder. It is so much harder to play any instrument that's not drums. And still, most musicians, even very talented musicians, think that playing the drums is just as tricky as playing the guitar or playing piano or playing a bass guitar. Yes, I've been in a couple bands when I was in my teens. It's a blind spot. To me, it's a blind. Every once in a while, I'll meet someone who gets it, who also is a musician. But most people, when I tell them this, they think I'm crazy and horrible. And drummers, especially, are so offended. But I mean, this is how much you need to know to be a decent drummer. This is how much you need to know to be a bad piano player. This is how much you need to know to be a decent piano player. This is how much you need to know to be a moderately good piano player, okay? This is how much you need to know to be a really good drummer. It's not even in the same universe. It's ridiculous. It's just now there are some people who can't keep a rhythm, and there are some people who can't coordinate 3 or more limbs to do different things at the same time. I get that. But so much harder because drums don't have melody or harmony. They don't have notes. It's just rhythm. You're cutting out 2/3 of what makes music music. There's rhythm, melody, and harmony. Every other instrument, you need to learn all 3 of these. You're working in 3 dimensions, whereas drums are just 1 dimension. Yes, Jay Berger, you've discovered those people I was talking about. Now we will never speak of them again. And Jay Berger, if you're listening that far behind, you've got to be like half an hour behind. You probably want to push your red dot all the way to the edge. Anyway, that's one blind spot. It blows my mind because like some of the most famous musicians on earth don't see it. They will defend drumming as like something really hard. Yeah, percussion can have notes if you're talking about like a xylophone. And you can tune the drums to different notes, but they don't have to be the notes that are in the song. So what are some now I will say another thing that's a huge blind spot is why everybody's a terrible parent today. Like parenting has gone off the rails and the majority of people are terrible parents for no reason because they bought into a lie. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say more than that because it'll get people really upset and people get really angry when I go deeper into it. But I'm going to make it sound very controversial. Parenting is way easier than people make it. Our grandparents were better at it than us because they didn't make it so hard. Our grandparents were phenomenally better parents than we were because they didn't make it so hard. We make it so hard, and because of that, we ruin it. We make it so ridiculously hard that we can't even control our kids, and we don't want kids. 1 or 2 kids is enough. More than 2 kids, no one can handle any. Our grandparents handled 10, 12, 14 kids and they did fine. Not always. There was always the exceptions. There's always abuse, but in general. And the reason, the number one reason, without going into too much detail, is parents are terrified of disciplining. Terrified. They think they think discipline and abuse is the same thing. And because they think that, they are ruined, screwed over. You can't be a parent. If you believe that, you can't handle one child, let alone 3 or 4. But that's another it's a huge blind spot. And when I bring it up in discussion, especially with younger people in their 20s, I get death threats instantly. I get people who want to know where I live and want to hurt me because they get that upset about it because they think I'm wrong. So there's one I said I wasn't going to talk about, but I actually talked about it. I didn't go into too much detail, but that's like, that's Carly Stone has 13 kids. Oh my gosh. That's a huge blind spot that I can't believe is such a blind spot. Well, I'm glad I'm getting some agreement. Yeah, and when you make it the hardest job on earth, it's a detriment to your kids, because then you're looking at these beautiful human beings, and instead of seeing them as all pure potential and beauty, you're seeing them as a chore. You're seeing them as a what's it called? You're seeing them as a negative. Like, when you think parenting is really hard, then every child looks like a pain in the butt. As opposed to when you see parenting is really easy, every child just looks like a glowing ball of gold that is just nothing but beauty and unlimited potential. Right. Yeah, Bill Burr has a very funny thing about that. Yeah, and their kids are out of control, and they're super unhappy. They're out of control. They're unhappy. They're miserable, and you're setting themselves up for a life of being on antidepressants. The way people parent nowadays. Well, Miss G, that means that you did it the right way. And here's something I'll say to get into the non-PC world. Let me see if I can think. Yeah, pretty much. I would say white people are probably the worst at what I just said. Latino culture, African American culture, definitely foreign culture, definitely people from other countries are much better at parenting simply without beating themselves up and thinking that they're terrible parents and thinking that it's the hardest job in the world. When I was teaching, the kids I would get from other countries were so much better behaved because their parents were stricter, so much stricter, but they were happier kids. They were better behaved, and their parents were so strict, you would call CPS on those parents if you knew what kind of parenting they did. So, all right, there's 2 blind spots. Let me think of where's the third one I was going to go with. The third one. This is I'm not going to go. I'll hit this one a tiny bit. The third one is we infantilize teens too much. Teens were thought of as adults until the year 2000. Once you hit puberty, once you are able to have your own family biologically, you are considered an adult in every culture on earth until about the 1990s, 2000s in America and in the West. Now we think we've bought into this ridiculous thing that we're not, You're not fully an adult till you're 25. That's insane. They say, oh, your brain doesn't fully develop till you're 25. No, many different things in your body are developing more and more and more and more. And 25 is the peak brain development, but it also starts to go down after that. So if you're not fully an adult till you're 25, you're also not fully an adult at 50 because now you're going downhill. So that's a ridiculous argument. Teens, we would do them such a service to get them out of this horrible thing called high school and start them in careers at age 13, 14, 15. Oh my gosh, they would love you. They would start off early. They would be wealthy by the time they're 30. They'd be happier. They would be able to provide for their families better. And they wouldn't miss a thing from not going through high school. High school is such a waste, such garbage. It's something passed down from 100 years ago that doesn't make sense anymore. That's another blind spot because nobody sees. I mean, some people see it, but nobody sees it enough to get upset about it and do something about it. There's another one. So there's 3 of them. Right, you can fight and die at 18, but you can't drink till you're 21. You can't rent a car until you're 25. Yeah, I've met people in their 40s who are less mature than people who are 12. There's a lot of different things with that too. Yeah, oh my gosh, how many people have to remember battles? Like they don't teach you. I got into such a huge argument on Facebook about this. They don't teach you in school how to do taxes. They don't teach you how to invest. They don't teach you how to open a bank account. They don't teach you how to start a business. But they're insane that you'll never make it in life if you don't memorize what date an obscure battle from some obscure war from the 1800s happened. Yeah, so there's 3 blind spots. Anybody know any others? If I think of another one, I'll mention it. I'm curious. I want to think of. I want to try to remember more of them now because whenever I see one, I'm so fascinated by it. It weirds me out, kind of. Yeah, young kids. I think young kids are violent because they weren't taught discipline. Um, there. Thank you, listening to butterflies. Um, like, uh, there's a belief out there that bullies were mistreated at home, and that's why they're taking it out on kids at school. And it's actually mostly false. I found it to be false, and I was happy to read in the psychologist, or I heard the psychologist say that it's false also. I found it to be false when I was a teacher. Bullies actually have more self-esteem than the average kid. Bullies are not usually abused, they're usually spoiled. They're usually taught to believe that they can do whatever they want and nobody is ever allowed to challenge them. No one is ever allowed to tell them they're wrong. No one is ever allowed to limit them from doing anything, even if it means hurting other people. So, so yeah, there's That's why you see a lot of violent kids today, because it just correlates with no discipline at home. Um, but anyway, so what else? What else? What else? Yeah, James, even you see tigers, you see animals doing it. You know, when their cubs get out of control, they like, what are you doing? Stop it. Um, Rainbow Obsidian, that's a good point. I noticed a lot of the a lot of kids who are abused actually turn into some of the sweetest people ever. It's a really weird thing. It got me to the point where I began to believe that being spoiled makes a worse person even than being abused. Being abused can set up an adult for a lifetime of struggle, but they're still better off than someone who is spoiled. And that's a wild statement to say, but that's just what that's how I've seen it in the examples I've seen. So, um, what else? What else? What are we going to talk about? Should we close for tonight? Again, I'm not doing any selling tonight. I'm sorry, anyone who wanted to see crystals and stones. Um, Kathy Rigg, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Can you phrase it differently? I read that twice. I couldn't follow what you were getting at. I'm going to ask one more time. Has anybody seen anything on Netflix they highly recommend? I told you I would tell you the one I highly recommend. I highly recommend my favorite Netflix show or movie, TV show or movie of the last 5 years is definitely The Queen's Gambit. If you haven't seen that, go watch it. You will love it. I don't know if you have Netflix, but James, I know you will love it. I absolutely adored. I like couldn't stop. It's a short series. It's like 13 episodes, just one season and it's done. It's like a kind of like a really long movie. But I like it adored it. Everybody who's seen it, I haven't met one person who's seen it who didn't love it. Um it's loosely based on the true story of a girl who is an orphan in the 1950s and 60s who happens to have this phenomenal skill that nobody knows about right away. And even when people know about it, nobody cares to cultivate it, or most people don't care. And how this young girl has to find her way. And she's like not your typical girl in a lot of different ways. And she's just started out with the worst beginning, like worst family life. And then she becomes an orphan and gets sent to an orphanage, and terrible start to life, and how she finds her way out of it. It's just phenomenal. Um, but I'm not even doing it justice because I don't want to give away any of the details. It's more than that. Like it's riveting. It's not just like, oh, this poor girl, oh, I hope she makes it. No, it's like it's so riveting. It makes you want to go out and do things. It's called The Queen's Gambit. All right, Kathy, you're saying it's better to go to college and have your life set for you. Are you saying that that's a blind spot that people think that isn't true anymore, that college is no longer true? Because I that's something I have been harping on, but I'm not sure if that's what you're saying. Nobody else has any shows they recommend? Any movies? Anything specifically good? Ooh, Startup is another great one. Only 3 seasons. It kills you because they end on a cliffhanger, but those 3 seasons are phenomenal. And I don't know if they're ever going to make a fourth season, but Startup, it's the show is called Startup. It's on Netflix. Phenomenal. It's about like 4 randomly different people who have nothing in common, who fall into each other's path and end up creating this company together that's like cutting edge and crazy and slightly illegal at times, but like they go through, and it's actually strangely realistic, even though it's like crazy at the same time. Yeah, James, I agree a lot with that. College is about getting a piece of paper that says you know how to follow rules, and spent 4 years wasting those years proving you can follow rules. Amelie likes The Witcher. I bumped into that a few times. I wasn't sure if I'd be interested. Virgin River and Heartland. Jeepers Creepers. Did I miss anything? Am I missing any comments? Documentary on Earth. The Good Fight. Invincible. I'm writing down James. I don't know why I like James. Invincible sounds like a movie I might like. I'm going to write that down. Rainbow Obsidian. That's a great story. All right, I'm starting to get a little bit tired. I think I might end it soon. It's a cartoon series. Oh. Anybody else? Anybody else want to say anything before we go? Anybody else notice any blind spots in society where you're like, the whole world has lost their freaking mind? I'm the only one who sees it clearly. Why can't anybody else see this? Ooh. Oh, I know one, but I'm not going to say it. That doesn't help. I shouldn't have said that. Now everybody's intrigued. Good to see you, Rainbow Obsidian. What's the blind spot, Carly Stone? Maid. I bumped into that a few times. I almost watched it. Excuse me. Woman and learned helplessness. You mean women? Women and learned helplessness? Thank you, Tiffany. Tiffany, you're the one with the newborn? Am I correct? newborn and a fiance. So lucky. Look at you go, girl. um, okay, I will say it just briefly. Modern art. That's all I need to say. You guys can take it from there. You know it. Modern art is a blind spot for a lot of people, but that's not one. That's not so much of a blind spot because most people do see it. Most people do see how ridiculous it is. But there are a select group of people that are, in a certain category that just are completely blind. They really buy into every little ridiculous thing that art is not about how beautiful it is or how skilled it is. It's about the story and the meaning behind why somebody threw some blobs on a piece of paper and called it art, and why that those blobs are worth way more than some 2-year old finger painting with the same blobs. Oh, that Tiffany, good for you. That's so sweet. If I was nearby, I would love to come and see your baby. Politicians are blind spots. I think a lot of people don't trust politicians. I don't think that's so uncommon. I think a lot of people, definitely people on one side of a political aisle, think the other side is all full of liars and cheats and nothing else. And people on that side think the other side is the same thing. That's pretty common. And the scary thing is one side might be right. But we're not going to talk about that on here. And both sides might be wrong. And there are some people who believe both sides are wrong. But who knows what the truth is? I don't think any of us have 100% grasp on truth in any category, but maybe some of us get a little closer than others. Poetry. There was a couple people who wrote poetry here. Beverly writes poetry. She's not here right now, I don't think. Uh, Antoinette writes poetry. I don't think she's here either. Valerie writes poetry. A lot of blind spots in couples. Ooh, Kathy Rigg. That's a big one. That's a big one. Everyone sees it, but the couples themselves, right? When you're with a partner and that person is no good and you can't see it, or you're no good and you don't deserve the partner you're with and you can't see it. Yeah, people have a lot of opinions on what stuff should be priced. And as much as I say modern art has a huge blind spot in it, I have no problem with somebody paying millions of dollars for a blob on canvas. If they can get it, do it. Um, Poetry is a weird one. Poetry is a really weird one. I'll tell you why. Because I think poetry. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong on this, but this is my observation. Poetry is the least compensated form of art on earth. It is the hardest to make money off of. But if you can turn that poetry into songwriting, which is very close, if not the same thing sometimes, it can be one of the most lucrative forms of art. Ooh, what about NFTs? That's a great topic for another time because it takes a long time to get through it. But I'm looking into NFTs right now, studying it, learning, probably learning a little later than I should have because NFTs are hot. But still, most people don't know anything about them, and they're like NFTs are what cryptocurrency was 5 years ago. Now most people understand what Bitcoin is, kind of a little bit. NFTs are like the newest version of that, and they're they might be even crazier than Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Provenance. Cindy says provenance. Provenance, I think what you're referring to is why a painting will be worth more than another painting, based not on the painting's intrinsic value, but based on who painted it, what their story was, and who owned it beforehand. How many people owned it? What stature were the people who owned it? A whole history of what that painting went through as far as ownership is listed in what's called provenance. There'll be whole papers written about famous paintings and famous pieces of art, sculptures. Rainbow obsidian, absolutely, you are correct, girl. Absolutely. It's one thing to understand what they are, and it's a whole other thing to know how to play that game. It's a brand new game, and I don't know if anybody, and very few people, I think, really understand it. People have blind spots when they try to tell you what a poem or storybook means. Interesting. Rainbow obsidian. What's the number one investment that has consistently not let anybody down almost ever? Who knows what it is? The number one investment that consistently almost never lets you down if you are patient enough to hold on to it long enough. Correct. Bing, 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 bing. Listening to butterflies. That is correct. And I think the majority of the world's millionaires became millionaires just by acquiring properties. Well, and yourself, that's a more philosophical answer, but in hard actual money numbers, not metals. Metals go up and down. Tiffany's like, metal. Metal is not one of the worst investments. It can be really good, but metals go up and down. I mean, they go up and down like this. They tend to go up in general, but they tend to fall quite a bit. Metal can be volatile, like the same way cryptocurrency can be really volatile. Like it steadily goes up, but sometimes it has huge drops that really crush people. Teacher pension funds. Yep. I actually put a tiny bit into Bitcoin a few months ago, and I sold it when it went higher, and I made a little bit, but the fees were so crushing that I almost made nothing. And it was really irritating trying to watch it every day and watching it go up and down. It was really stressful, and I'm not sure I'd do that again. I know, Miss Gia, I know a number of people are hoping it's going to do that, hoping it's going to drop because it's been going so high for so long. I need dinner. Oh, Valerie, you too? Yeah, but homes never go down completely to zero, and they always go back up. Because real estate, the thing about real estate is the population keeps growing, and people keep gaining. The riches of people keep growing. Even not just the riches of the rich, but the riches of the middle class, the riches even of the poor keep growing. So people always need land, and they always need homes, and they always need buildings. So real estate is still number one. It's still king. Well, Rainbow Obsidian, sometimes people got to buy when they got to buy, and they got to sell when they got to sell. And that's how you can get really good deals. It's ridiculous. My parents got a phenomenally amazing home for such a tiny amount not too long ago, just 2 decades ago. And it has the amount it has gone up since they paid that tiny amount for it. Insane. It just blows my mind that anything could appreciate that high. Miss G, are you in Texas? I forget. Where are you again? I know a lot of people are moving to Texas. What, Sharon? Tell us what. Oh, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of people who moved to both Carolinas. Kathy, now that is a winner. That's what everybody dreams of. Every investor dreams of that happening. Even quadrupling in 30 years is a huge deal. But 1 year? All right, I should sign out. It's been 3 hours. Good night, everybody. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for having fun. Sorry we didn't do any stones or crystals. Maybe on Wednesday. Have a wonderful week. Stay hydrated. Be nice to people. I don't know, Sharon. You got to tell us. If you know what it is, then tell us. If you're asking us, I don't know. I don't know if we know. I'm getting the hiccups now. Some people tell me they like the hangout shows where there's no crystal selling, where we just talk. They like those better, and they wish that they would come back because I used to do them once a week. So you guys let me know if you like this better, if you like the crystal shows better, or if you like both, if you want kind of a half and half. This is definitely less stressful for me. It's easier because I don't have to stay on top of keeping track of a million numbers and posting things as fast as possible and keeping everybody entertained while staring at nothing but a table. So this is a lot easier because I just relax and just stream of consciousness talk. All right, most people like both. Good to know. Have a wonderful night, everyone. Again, thank you. You're all amazing. Keep doing art or whatever you do that's creative. Make food. Take care of your kids. Take care of your cats and dogs. Good night. And hamsters and gerbils and reptiles.